Delusional personality disorder.
I'm just trying to make sure that some of us survive, Arthur. Now, shall we proceed?
Delusional personality disorder is a full-blown worldview that sees betrayal lurking around every corner. People with this disorder carry a deep distrust of others, even close friends. They often read hidden threats into harmless actions, hold long-term grudges, and resist changing their beliefs, no matter how irrational. Their world is built on suspicion, and once they feel threatened, they rarely forgive. And in Red Dead Redemption 2, no one spirals into paranoid delusion harder than Dutch van der Linde. Dutch begins the game as a charismatic leader with grand ideas. He speaks of freedom, dreams, and building a better future away from the grip of civilization. But slowly those dreams rot into obsession. After the death of Hosea, his moral compass, Dutch's mental state crumbles. He starts interpreting any disagreement as disloyalty. Arthur's concerns? Betrayal? John's hesitation? Treason? Dutch doesn't just distrust the world. He turns on his own family. This is most glaring during the Saint Denis chapter, especially after the bank heist, when Dutch abandons John to be captured and later refuses to save Abigail. Even Arthur, once his most trusted enforcer, becomes a target of his suspicion. When Arthur confronts Dutch about MICAH being a snitch, Dutch refuses to listen, because by then, MICAH's blind loyalty has replaced actual trust. Another strong moment? The Guarma segment. Dutch executes a woman for challenging him, showing how his delusion now justifies violence against anyone who doesn't follow without question. Even in the final standoff between Arthur, John, and MICAH, Dutch is distant, confused, lost in his web of distrust. Dutch doesn't just fall from grace, he collapses into a world where everyone's out to get him, except the one man who actually was, MICAH. Dutch didn't just lose his gang, he lost his grip on reality. And in the end, the only voice he trusted was the one whispering lies in his ear. Sadistic personality disorder.
Are you out of your goddamn mind? Last chance.
Sadistic personality disorder is defined by one thing: deriving pleasure from hurting others. People with this pattern don't just lash out when provoked, they go out of their way to intimidate, dominate, and humiliate. The more someone suffers, the more power they feel. It's a mindset built on cruelty, and there's no moral compass holding it back. In Red Dead Redemption 2, this disorder shows up in its rawest form through MICAH Bell. He isn't just violent, he's entertained by violence. From the moment he joins the van der Linde gang, MICAH treats manipulation like a hobby and bloodshed like a party trick. A perfect example comes during the mission, Blessed Are the Meek, in Strawberry. What should have been a simple jailbreak turns into a deliberate massacre. MICAH kills half the town just for the thrill of it, laughing, taunting, and clearly loving the mayhem. That's not survival, that's sadism. MICAH also spends most of the game bullying people who can't fight back. He mocks Pearson, intimidates John, and provokes Arthur at every turn. Not because he needs to, but because he likes it. His toxic influence on Dutch isn't about strategy, it's about control. He watches the gang fall apart and keeps stirring the pot, just to see what burns. By the time we reach Arthur's final mission, MICAH shows his true face. He doesn't kill Arthur quickly, he drags it out. He punches, mocks, and enjoys every second of Arthur's pain. That's not revenge, that's pleasure, plain and simple. MICAH didn't care about freedom or fortune. He just wanted to watch the world bleed and smile at it. Histrionic personality disorder.
Mr. Middleton and Mr. Ross about the bank robbery, and I wanted them to kill you.
Histrionic personality disorder is basically drama dialed up to 11. People with this disorder crave attention like it's oxygen. They're emotionally intense, unpredictable, and often theatrical. Not because they're bad people, but because deep down, they believe they only matter when someone's watching. Everything's a performance. Every argument is an audition. And silence? That's their worst nightmare. Now for it, we have Molly O'Shea, Dutch's girlfriend, Irish by blood, high maintenance by nature, and a walking monologue in a world full of gunfights. At first, Molly seems like just another love interest, but as Dutch starts emotionally ghosting her, the cracks start showing. She's not getting the spotlight anymore, and that's when the drama begins. Her behavior becomes erratic, emotional, and loud. Not just because she's upset, but because she needs to be seen. She needs Dutch to notice her again. And then comes her final performance. In the mission, The Fine Art of Conversation. Molly stumbles back into camp, drunk, slurring, and yelling about how she talked to the Pinkertons. Everyone freezes. Dutch stares. Susan raises her gun, but the twist is that she didn't actually betray anyone. She just said it, out of pure emotional desperation. And it gets her killed. Classic histrionic behavior, emotional overreaction, attention-seeking, and impulsive confession just to feel significant again. She didn't want the gang to suffer. She just wanted Dutch to look at her the way he used to. Instead, she caught a bullet from Susan Grimshaw and a permanent exit from the story. Molly couldn't handle being background noise in Dutch's solo act, and paid the price for trying to steal back the spotlight. Dependent personality disorder.
Hey there, Marion. Shut up.
Dependent personality disorder is all about fear, not of monsters, but of making decisions alone. People with this disorder cling hard to others for guidance, constantly seek approval, and will stay in toxic situations just to avoid being abandoned. They're the human version of, tell me what to do and I'll do it. Just don't leave. And no one in Red Dead Redemption 2 screams this disorder louder than Bill Williamson. Though Bill mostly yells everything he says anyway. From the start, Bill's loyalty to Dutch is less about belief and more about survival. In paying a social call, he's just happy to be involved. He doesn't question Dutch's logic. He doesn't think through the risk. He just wants to be the guy who's told what to do, preferably loudly with a gun in his hand. As the gang starts unraveling, Bill doesn't waver, not because he doesn't see the red flags, but because he can't handle being adrift. Dutch could have declared war on gravity and Bill would have shown up with a rope. His biggest fear isn't getting shot, it's getting left behind without a gang to belong to. Even in Our Best Selves, when everything's clearly falling apart, Bill shows up like, so, we still robbing trains? All right, cool, I brought bullets. It's not courage, it's codependence in a cowboy hat. Due to this disorder, Bill needs someone to follow, someone to validate him. And if that means riding straight into chaos with Dutch, so be it. At least he won't be alone. Bill didn't stick with Dutch because he believed in the plan. He just needed a plan with someone's name on it so he wouldn't have to make one himself. Obsessive compulsive personality disorder.
People is happy to borrow off someone like me, but more enthusiastic paying back to someone like you.
Of course.
Obsessive compulsive personality disorder, not to be confused with OCD, is all about control. People with this disorder are obsessed with order, rules, and perfection. They value structure so much that they'll sacrifice relationships, flexibility, and even basic humanity just to keep things the right way. And when that structure breaks down, so do they. And no one in Red Dead Redemption 2 shows this disorder more glaringly than Leopold STRAUSS, the gang's walking calculator with the emotional range of a ledger. STRAUSS doesn't just run the books. He runs his world like a bank ledger, cold, precise, and merciless. Every action must lead to profit. Every problem can be solved with debt, interest, and threats. When he sends Arthur out on those infamous loan shark missions, like in money lending and other sins, he doesn't care if someone's dying of tuberculosis. He cares if they've missed a payment. Even when the gang is crumbling and Arthur is literally coughing up blood, STRAUSS still expects full collections, on time, with interest. He never shows empathy or guilt, only disappointment when the numbers don't add up. That's classic OCPD behavior, valuing systems over people, efficiency over morality. His obsession with control is so extreme that Arthur eventually throws him out of camp. That's how rigid STRAUSS is. In a gang full of killers and thieves, he gets kicked out for being the one guy too heartless to keep around. This is a man who could witness a house burning down and still ask if the property taxes are paid. STRAUSS didn't just balance books. He balanced his entire soul on a column of numbers and forgot there were people underneath it. Narcissistic personality disorder.
Of course I'm sweating. We're in some disease-ridden, swampy, Dixie-whistling shithole.
I meant about...
Some people walk into a room and demand attention. Others, they float in like they own the place, flash a charming smile, say something clever, and disappear before they ever have to do the dirty work. That's narcissism too, just dressed in fancier clothes. And in Red Dead Redemption 2, no one embodies that better than Josiah Trelawney. Now to be clear, Trelawney isn't your textbook narcissist. He's not screaming, "Look at me," every 5 seconds. But he definitely wants you to notice him. The way he talks, the way he dresses, the way he acts like he's above all the chaos happening around him. That's not just flair, that's ego with a top hat. The guy shows up when it suits him, usually clean, calm, and freshly shaved, while the rest of the camp looks like they just rolled out of a gunfight. He'll help with a robbery or two, like in Magicians for Sport, but the second things start falling apart, he's gone. No goodbyes, no help. Just poof, Trelawney exits stage left. And the wild part? He always makes it sound like he's doing you a favor. Oh, I helped Arthur and Charles find Sean, remember? I am quite valuable. Meanwhile, he's spending the rest of his time sipping wine, name-dropping business connections, and pretending he's too refined for all this outlaw mess. Truth is, Trelawney doesn't care about the gang. He just cares about being seen as the smooth, cultured guy who's always one step ahead. That's narcissism. Not the loud kind, but the slippery, hard-to-pin-down kind that always keeps its hands clean. Trelawney wasn't in it for the gang. He was in it for the image, the role. And once the curtain started falling, he vanished before anyone could call him out. Borderline personality disorder.
Oh, go scratch your sores, you old bag. Excuse me? You heard.
Borderline personality disorder isn't just about mood swings or being emotional. It's a constant internal tug of war. One minute you feel on top of the world, the next you're convinced everyone's going to leave you. It comes with impulsiveness, unstable relationships, a shaky sense of identity, and emotional reactions that hit like a runaway train. And in Red Dead Redemption 2, this disorder is hard to miss in Karen Jones. At first, Karen comes off confident, sharp-tongued, funny, fearless during heists. She plays the drunk distraction in The First Shall Be Last, and nails it like she's been doing cons her whole life. But under all that swagger is someone who's seriously struggling. The moment Sean McGuire dies, the one guy she had a real connection with, Karen starts spiraling fast. She goes from functional to full-blown alcoholic. You'll find her passed out, snapping at people, or drinking alone by the fire more often than not. Her emotional state doesn't just drop, it crashes. One day she's making jokes and flirting with Arthur. The next she's hostile, withdrawn, or just gone completely numb. That inconsistency, the up and down unpredictability of her behavior, it's textbook BPD. Add to that her total disappearance near the end of the game, with the vague rumor that she drank herself to death, and it becomes heartbreakingly clear Karen was burning out from the inside and no one knew how to stop it. What really sells it is how hard she tries to hold on to connection, and how fast she breaks when she loses it. Karen didn't just lose Sean, she lost her anchor, and without it, she drifted off into a storm she couldn't drink her way out of. Authoritarian personality disorder.
Mr. Morgan, you're quite a sight.
What's wrong?
You're revolting, and you'll get all of us sick.
Authoritarian personality traits are all about control, not the good kind that keeps things running, but the kind that demands obedience, punishes rebellion, and sees the world in rigid black and white. People with these traits don't just enforce rules, like they live for them. And if you break those rules, well, don't expect a warning shot. In Red Dead Redemption 2, these traits are most glaring in Susan Grimshaw, the unofficial sheriff, judge, and executioner of the Vander Linde camp. From day one, Susan is barking orders, managing chores, and snapping at anyone who dares to sleep in 5 minutes too long. She's not just keeping things together, she's enforcing her own personal code, and it's non-negotiable. Ask Karen, ask Molly. Actually, maybe don't ask Molly. Susan doesn't run on emotion, and she runs on structure. If the bedrolls aren't straight or someone's late to chop wood, she's on them before they can finish a yawn. And when it comes to gang loyalty, her rule is simple. Break it, and you're done. The most glaring example, right after The Joys of Civilization. Molly O'Shea stumbles into camp, drunk and furious, and claims she gave the Pinkertons information about the St. Denis heist. Nobody even checks if it's true. Susan doesn't ask questions. She pulls the trigger. Just like that. Execution. Right in front of the whole gang. Turns out Molly didn't actually betray anyone. She just wanted Dutch's attention. But for Susan, it didn't matter. The rule was broken, or at least looked broken, and that was enough. That's the danger with authoritarian thinking, when the rules matter more than the people they're supposed to protect. Even in day-to-day camp life, you can feel it. Susan barks orders like a drill sergeant, keeps tabs on everyone, and keeps the place running like a tight ship. But she's not a villain. She truly believes the gang would fall apart without her strict hand. And to be fair, she wasn't entirely wrong. In the end, she sides with Arthur against MICAH, but hesitates for just a second, and in that second, MICAH shoots her. Susan kept the gang in line with iron rules and a loaded gun. But when the chaos finally turned back on her, the rules didn't save her.